This is Kunle Amzat Studio, Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Welcome to the Dailies.
Day of the week, a new day in a new month. And this is me saying happy new month to you, and also good morning. You're welcome to the Kunle Amzat studio at Agidigbo 88.7 FM. And yes, you know, as time reaches about 6:35, we are going to start the conversation about our great nation, Nigeria. My name is Wuraola Yusuff, and of course, you know how we do it. I'll be taking you through the front pages of our daily newspapers this morning, after which our analyst in the studio, the great MAESTRO, will help us understand how the stories, how they affect and concern us, or how they can affect and concern us, and also weighing it with our history, because as some of these things, I mean, most of them, there's no way or the other we'll have to refer back to our history and see how these things, how they have started since way back. Happy new month once again, and I hope that this the second quarter of this year will start with the third quarter. We'll start that on a lighter note. Yes, let us pick it up from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, talking about the Borno bombing. Atiku Obi flag bomb attacks. U.S. offers support. Tinubu assures citizens. The story is on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Quite a lot of writers to that story. The first one says terrorists won't go unpunished. That is coming from the president himself. Federal government's failure to hold the frontline responsible for attacks. That is coming from Atiku. Nigerians must be unrelenting in demanding security. That is coming from Obi. We will collaborate with the federal government to defeat terrorism. And that one is coming from U.S. government. And the U.S. mayor also saying the Gaza attack a last kick of a dying horse. All right, moving on to the front page of the Guardian newspaper on the issue of the Borno attack. We have the president on page 6 saying, on the issue of the Gaza suicide attacks, Tinubu mourns, vows justice as a death toll rises to 23. Moving on, still on the issue of the Borno bombing, the U.S. mayor is saying Borno multiple suicide bombing cowardly. The writer to that one says Tinubu, UN in Dume condemn action. And also another one says a death toll in 4 attacks rises to 18. All right, so back to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning in continuation of the news. NDLEA raids Abuja drug party, arrests 60. Page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. Debt to GDP ratio crosses 50% as Nigeria's debt servicing set to surpass revenue. Page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. On page 8, Sean has always appointed Ogbomoso chief imam since 1818. And that one is coming from the League of Imams on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. Edo APC, PDP trade words over government project. Page 22. On the issue of local government autonomy, federal government urged dragging states to court. That is coming from Okupe on page 23. And also, we have the story on page 6 saying how government policies, infrastructure deficit threaten Nigeria's $6.5 billion beer market. The writer to that one says why capital markets may not be the way out. Why capital markets may not be the way out. That is coming from an expert. To the Guardian newspaper right now, we have the story on page 3 saying refineries to begin operations before January. Senate assures. Page 3 of the Guardian newspaper assures. Alright. Page 45. Mayhem looms in North over hardship. Lukman warns. And on page 9, this one is saying how Buhari government failed to recover $69 billion looted funds. Bono Obla alleges. Endless communal conflict worsen food insecurity, hunger in Cross River. That is on page 4. Moving on to the Nation newspaper, 180 trillion naira federal government consumer credit scheme set for takeoff. The writer to that story says 500,000 out of 2 million applicants in first batch of beneficiaries. And that one is on the front page of the Nation newspaper and continued on page 4. Work to begin on Lagos Calabar Coastal Highways sections 3 and 4. That story is on page 5. I have been getting salary 2 years after leaving federal civil service. Who is that? Page 25 of the Nation newspaper. Tell us more about that. Permanent secretary under probe for sexual harassment on indefinite leave. That story is on page 5. Insiders bid for higher stakes and banks recapitalization. Still on page 5. The writer to that story says major shareholders in preemptive moves. And finally, on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper this morning, we have a very sad one coming from Borno. This is a relative saying that he or she lost 5 family members in Gwaza attacks. Governor Radar queries Katsina Emir. That story is on page 3. NESG backs CBN's stoppage of price verification system on FX. That is on page 19. Cybercrime Act, despite amendment, clampdown on journalists persist. 3 writers to that story. The first one says 25 reporters faced prosecution since 2015. Another writer says Nigeria, one of West Africa's most dangerous places to practice. The third writer says believes federal government presidency more. That story is on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper, and we can see like a graph of the journalists, timeline of some of the arrests, detentions and harassment of journalists, which some of the reasons are cyber stalking and defamation of character. Petition filed against a journalist, complaint from a prominent businessman and politician, an alleged defamatory publication, amongst others, are the reasons for this journalist being... Alright, let us move on to talking about the stories that we have read their headlines this morning. And of course, I have in the studio with me Maestro. Good morning, Maestro. You're welcome to the studio.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, and happy new month to you.
Same to you.
Happy new week.
Same to you.
All right. Let us go straight to Borno concerning the Saturday bombing. And yes, we've had so many people come out to talk about this thing. I mean, it is concerning security. It is concerning the lives of citizens of this great nation. And of course, we are going to have so many people talk about it. And part of the talks is that this one coming from Atiku, saying federal government failure to hold front line responsible for attacks. And we also have Obi talking about the fact that Nigerians must be unrelenting in demanding security. A U.S. mayor saying Gwaza attack is the last kick of a dying horse from Boko Haram.
Let's start from there and quickly dismiss that last kick of a dying horse. It's not even creative. It's a phrase used by former President Muhammadu Buhari, and as soon as he came into office, everybody assumed everything was going to be fine immediately, and that's one of the statements he made, that the attacks happening as he came into office were last kicks of a dying horse. But those last kicks of a dying horse lasted his entire administration of 8 years. So I don't. It's so disingenuous of anyone to be coming around with that kind of phrase again. Probably hoping that we've forgotten and that we heard that before. So I think it's a very poor outing for that envoy. Let's quickly set that one aside because it's an unserious statement. I can tell you that this attack, unfortunate, very tragic, and our hearts go out to the victims and their loved ones who are in all kinds of trauma right now. But the truth is that, one, this administration is being told by these terrorists and criminals that we are very much around and we will strike at will, that don't take the law for a fact. And if this administration fails to take a very decisive step, on this Borno situation, you will see an unfortunate proliferation. It will happen in other places very soon because one emboldens the other. In our experience, it doesn't just stop. And so this administration has to take this thing very seriously. Whatever it has as plans, it must be effecting those plans right now. Because apart from the fact that we have been shouting forever that these people are affecting the economy very badly, no one who hears about all these strikes will want to come to Nigeria and do business. It's bad enough that we don't have electricity, which is the spine of businesses. And so a lot of investors are staying away from the Nigerian economy because of the extra costs that they will be incurring in running their businesses. And of course, the people don't even have a lot of jingles in their pockets to even buy. So if you now come and produce at exorbitant rates, who is going to buy? And so they stay away. Apart from that, now we're having this security situation as it is. So I know that the job is cut out for these people who are in office right now to do the needful. Otherwise, things might get worse. Apart from that, though, I know for a fact that the solution to this problem, unfortunately, you hear from people like the governor of Borno State and so on saying they don't want state police. And that is the ultimate solution. You get? That is the ultimate solution to this problem.
Because we still have them going back to the military that they should double their effort.
And they know that we don't have enough men in the military to do this thing. We do not have it. But they are saying it deliberately and they are defending their sinecures. As the elites in that place, they don't want to see state police because they cannot absolutely define or predict how much state police will take away from them all over the country. And they are selfishly not looking at how much it could give to the people, the impoverished of this country. And so it is time for Nigerians, rather than be, dreaming of the day, they will see the like of Kenyan protests and so on. Why don't you rally around people who are saying it is time for state police? It's time to restructure this way or that way. You see, we misplace our priorities. I can hate your face. I can, maybe I don't want to see you. But you see, in politics, sometimes you need to work with the person you don't like. So long as the person is pushing an idea that you like. It doesn't mean that you will not resume your enmity as soon as you score a goal. You continue. That's why people say there are no permanent friends, there are no permanent enemies in politics. So this thing that we have been shouting forever about the state police is not a joke. It's not because we just want to be talking about something forever. It is because that is what is going to solve the problem in all these places. And every time you hear clowns talking about, oh, the soldiers should go and do this, Nigerian army should go and do that, they are just clowning around. Because it's either they are ignorant about what it would take the Nigerian army to take care of this situation all over the country, or they are being mischievous. They are deliberately applying mischief to this thing and expecting the Nigerian army that has a limited number to take care of this problem all over the place. And you know the worst part of it, some of them are even in on these things. Look, it is not like we are picking it out of the hat.
All right, Maestro, we still have a lot to talk about on this issue, on this Borno bombing, and the points you're trying to make for Nigerians to see. But right now, we need to go pay some bills. When we're back, we'll continue the conversation and elaborate more on the issue. We'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
My baby is 6 months old. Oh my! 6 months old? Wow! Now your baby needs more than breast milk. It's time to introduce mashed meals. In addition to breast milk, begin to give your baby mashed meals that contain at least one item from each of these 5 food groups: eggs, fish or meat, fruits and vegetables, oils, beans, groundnuts, soya or millet, rice, potato, maize or yam. From 6 months. In addition to breast milk, your baby needs this combination of food types to grow healthy. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
No matter waiting, I show you, you show me love.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You show me, you show me, you show me love.
Show some more love today with 4 more packs of your favorite Indomie noodles in Indomitable and Super Pack cartons. Also, each Indomitable pack is now 200 naira, while Super Pack is now 350 naira. So hurry now. Offer valid till stock last.
Àbẹ́ ò rí nǹkan, ẹ̀bùn pàtàkì látọ̀dọ̀ Ọlọ́run lọmọ jẹ́ fáwọn òbí, tómi ọyàn sì jẹ́ ẹ̀bùn Ọlọ́run fáwọn ọmọ. Ó ní gbogbo èròjà aṣaralóore pẹ̀lú omi tọ́mọ rẹ nílò. Fún oṣù 6 àkọ́kọ́, máa fọ́mọ rẹ ní ọyàn nìkan. Rántí o, omi ọyàn nìkan fún oṣù 6 àkọ́kọ́. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkọ́ṣeṣẹ́ ANRIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, we are back and we are still talking about the Borno bombing, which is quite sad because it even happened at a wedding venue. A day that's supposed to be the day of joy for some people and also for their well-wishers who have come to celebrate them. But that happened. Maestro, you were trying to make a point.
They pick these things, very, very viciously. We have seen a situation where they struck a village and they they dispatched a lot of people, and the village people rallied. They packed their corpses and were in the process of burying their corpses, and this guy struck again. He returned and killed more people. It's part of their modus operandi to get you at your weakest moments. They have been doing this wedding thing for a very long time, striking during weddings. They have been doing it for a very long time. They have gone to churches, So, in a very cowardly fashion, they look for your moment of, weakness, when you're relaxed, when you're happy, when the last thing on your mind is violence. And then they come around and do their thing. So it's always there. But I was talking about the state police push before we went on that break. And look, whoever is there, the president, the sultan, the emirs, the northern governors, stalwarts in that place who are standing firmly, who might be standing firmly against state police, they are doing a huge disservice to their people. And every time we come and sit down here and we talk about this, this brigandage, this terrorism, this criminal outings, we know that it's going to happen again because some people are standing against the solution. And that solution is the state police. It puts arms and ammunition in the hands of the people of that locality to be prepared at all times against anyone who is coming to attack them in every state of this country. That's the meaning of state police. And you'll have enough numbers. Those who have been turned to lamb and then taken to slaughter slabs severally, frequently, will now become lionized, and they will be waiting for these guys to come because they have been lionized, or even go hunting for these people, to get rid of them from their different states. And the numbers will be there, the resources will be there. Let them tell us one reason why they are standing against state police. They will come and say, oh, you see, Nigeria is not ripe for that. But
Borno governor is even one
but
of them.
Nigeria is ripe for these killings to go on. Nigeria is ripe for the billions in your pockets. And Nigeria is ripe for the millions, of youths just roaming the streets because we cannot manage this country very well. It doesn't make any sense. And they know it, that it doesn't make sense to be standing against state police.
No, it doesn't make sense to stand against state police, but they are still doing it. I mean, the Borno governor is even part of those that said, come, state
and
police, hold on to it.
His state has Zambisa forest. So I don't know.
Is that supposed to be coming from him?
I don't know. I think it's his own personal politics that he's playing. It has nothing to do, with what the solution going to be or what it's not going to be.
Playing politics with people's lives.
You see, I find it insulting. Anytime somebody comes to say, Nigeria, we are not right for something, because it's so derogatory. How could you be telling me that I'm not right for something that is being done, that has been done all over the world for hundreds of years? Because you don't want to, you run out of ideas and then you say, oh, Nigeria is not right for this, Nigeria is not right for that. But Nigeria is right for all these killings going on, right?
All right, then. Still, we have the president coming out to say, yes, we are going to go after these people. I mean, as expected, we have the president saying that the terrorists won't go unpunished. But the statement or something of sort has been coming out every now and then when we have attacks or anything.
Excuse me, that's what he's going to say. What else would he say?
But what about what he would do?
What would he do? Sincerely, Wura, what would he do? If the man has state police on the table forever, and you see, when you are a politician and you are not a military officer, you have to play politics.
He's the president. We're talking about lives.
Yes.
Playing politics with lives.
So what do you suppose? Let's see, president, you have legislature, you have laws. So a civilian president in a democratic setting is severely curtailed. So what would you do as president now if you thought that, look, having state police will solve this problem? You see, it's a different ball from a president that would never do state police. This is one that's ready for state police, but is meeting with obstacles. And he's going to play politics now, because how do you do it? You have to pass a law in the National Assembly. That is where everything happens. For you to have state police today, you have to have a law, a bill in the National Assembly that the Senate will pass, that the reps will pass.
Okay. Are you saying that Mr. President's hands are tied, or he's not being backed enough?
It's not about being tied. It's about what you have to do to have state police. So you cannot just sit down and announce, from today, we are running state police. It's impossible. What you could do is to put your bill together, take it to the National Assembly.
So we can blame the legislature.
You can't blame the legislature, because almost half the legislature are interested in state police.
Then what is going on?
Southern, the southern legislature is for state police. The middle belt legislature is interested in state police, but the core north legislatures are not interested.
And this is where all these things is going on.
Yes, and this is where you have to play politics, because you bear your fangs if you go despite your allies in politics.
A second, Maestro.
It's 7 a.m. on Agidigbo 88.7 FM.
All right.
So you can blame the president for a lot of things, but when it comes to issues of restructuring Nigeria, unless we don't know. But we know that some people want restructuring, some people don't. And those who do not want restructuring are the ones in the way.
Maestro, is there something else attached to this? I mean, from all what we've been trying to explain now, the insecurity we're talking about is more from the north. And when we're talking about state police, people saying, no, we do not want state police, which could be an answer to eradicate all of these things security-wise, it is still coming from the north.
Yes.
They are still the ones saying no.
Yes.
It's conflicting.
It's not conflicting if you understand Nigerian history.
How?
Or even human nature.
Okay.
You see, the thing is, when you look at the northern part of the country, you realize without doubt that most of a lion's share of the resources of Nigeria goes to the north.
Okay.
If you want to disbelieve things like, 80% of the oil blocks are owned by North and so on, maybe we can't verify, maybe, it's true or not. But you look at the number of states, for instance, and the number of states that we have, and the number of local governments that you have, what does it mean? It means you have to vote money from the federal, account to the north. I mean, to those states, those number of states every month, and then the number of local governments every month. So they take the lion's share. But despite taking the lion's share, where do you find poverty most established in Nigeria? You find it in the north. And then if you see someone come around to say, look, you know what? I think there should be a pivot here. I think there should be a turnaround. That all these, street kids, let's do something about it. Let's do a school. They stand against it. And if you push it too much, they will tell you that, look, that is our culture. And we don't want anybody, messing around with it. But you see, what it actually does is it has the function of, having some kind of army for days when the politician will want to make a move against enemies and so on. You have the likes of Alhaji Tanko Muhammad, I think Tanko Yakase, I think once Junaid Muhammad coming out to say this is how we hold our elections here, in a way that people who do not belong to this place will have to lock up their doors on the days of our elections. Who effects all those things? It's the Almajiri on the streets who is ordered to go and do this or that. Every time you find the politician making a move that is violent, it goes in the same direction. So if you had state police, that central authority, the unison that you normally have might be affected. I'm not saying it certainly will be affected. And then all these things that flow, the resources that flow to the elites in the north might now, be redefined. So I think mostly they are afraid of the known and the unknown. More the unknown, how this thing would even turn out, they've not been able to break it down. And so the only thing is to resist it. This is a function of fear of the unknown. But you see, if you are leading a people, then you should selflessly serve them.
Okay.
And now, if you look at state police thing, it means first and foremost that your people will be safer than now, which is what you should go for first. Not, the situation, the status quo that assures your sinecure. So that from generation to generation, your lineage is secure because of that pride of place that you have, been offered by the system, which is not working for most people. It's just working for you and your children. Because the guy who is saying no state police is always protected.
I mean,
He has more policemen than he needs. At all times, the wives, the children are all protected. But they find it somehow very easy to come out and say no to state police. Where do you know that the Nigerian elite actually takes away half of about 400,000, fewer than 400,000 policemen that we have to protect them
for themselves,
while the rest of us make do with the remaining half. And these people are not up to 1% of of the population. So 99% of us are making do with half. And even that half, they are not serving us directly. You find them at the junctions doing their own thing, So when we talk about state police, it is to reposition this country, to fight crime better, to confront this plague called terrorism, and to generally, just catch up with the rest of the world. Move away from this primordial setting where the British dumped us with all the accordas and the deals and all these people, the way they left us with just very little upgrading. And that's what they are they are the ones, responsible for this situation we are in.
All right. From what I can grab from your analysis, that is the fact that the problem is actually the people making decisions for the northern people, not exactly the north, because I mean they are the one feeling the heat the most, and still we still have the decisions.
You will see that the average man on the streets of the north is always up and volunteering. Every time they say, okay, you hunters come around, come and take guns, let's go and fight these people, this thing is too much, they are ready. We saw that in Borno State, that the farmers came together, very young people, ready to fight.
But the people hide there.
You saw that in Katsina State, it happened in Zamfara. The youths there are always ready to do it. But you see, they will give them guns that time to go and die. Because what you need to do is to have a standard state police where you could suck in all these youths who are ready to defend the land of their birth and give them the needed training to become policemen in their space and then fight this scourge.
Okay, that is a part of the country. Whether we like it or not, we cannot ignore them. For what we need, talking about the fact that, okay, that is their side and the problem is from there. Still, they are Nigerians. Is there anything at all that can be done to make sure that state police comes to live in Nigeria? Not for just the north alone, but for everybody.
No, we're not talking in isolation when we talk about the state police. We're talking about the entire country.
This is a part saying no.
Well, they might say no. You see, democracy is a game of numbers. That is why, I'm even surprised that we haven't really pushed this thing forcefully to the National Assembly to even see what's going on. You see, and I'm saying that, instructively, because you see, the politician knows how he prepares for these things in order to win. So I'm not going to blame, the politicians who are pushing it immediately. Because you want to look at the numbers. Inside the National Assembly, what numbers do you need? Around the country, the state houses of assembly, how many of the governors are going to be behind you? And if you need 2/3 and you have just about half right now, you want to work more in order to bring in the numbers. So I would not, and their politicians, they also don't want to get their allies estranged to such an extent that it will affect their own political fortunes. If you don't bring all these things into, you factor them into, your thinking about Nigerian problems, you're just wasting your time. I mean, you can really shout and moralize and pontificate, to any extent. You have to look at the political realities which they operate in. And that means they want to carry one another along. So get it in the best way possible and offend as few people as possible. But it doesn't stop us from saying, because we are not doing it with them. When we have been shouting state police, and restructuring and everything, they use it as political tools. So when they're outside of power, they come and shout with us that we should restructure. When they're inside of power, they shut up. They don't talk about restructuring again. And we understand that very well. And so let them play their own politics. We are just desirous of results. That people should stop being killed like this, especially in agrarian settings where we're having, farmers feeding the entire country being snuffed out like that. Vast lands where there used to be a lot of farming activities are now wasted, because the farmers are not there anymore. Either they've been wiped off existence or they ran for their life.
All right. The phone lines has been beeping since people want to talk. But please bear with us until when we open the phone lines. Away from security issues, because it seems that is quite a lot to talk about. Just in one sitting. Let us move on to the economy. Nigeria's debt to gross domestic product ratio crossed 50% for the first time ever last week, while debt servicing is set to surpass the country's revenue. How much we are owing is about to surpass what we are making as a country. What does this mean for us, Maestro? We know the state we are in, talking about economy and how we're faring.
I consider all these things useless. You know why I consider them useless? When you write such things for me, I expect you to give me the figures. If you are not giving me the figures, I'm not interested in what you're saying. And they have to be verifiable figures.
There are figures.
So if you say we're earning $100 million monthly, and so now, that's our revenue. And then the one that surpasses it must be $101 million. Then I begin to flow with you, so long as I know that you're a credible source and you're not just writing nonsense.
And that is from the Debt Management Office, the DMO.
Okay, so how much is our revenue right now? How much is supposed to surpass it?
All right. According to the DMO, Nigeria now has a public debt portfolio of 121 trillion naira, consisting of domestic debt 65.6 trillion and a foreign debt portfolio of $42.1. That is about 56 trillion naira. And they said with our external debt rising to $45 billion amidst investors flocking out of the country, the chief executive of CFG stressed the urgent need. That wasn't specified.
Who is CFG?
The chief executive of CFG advisory.
What is CFG?
That is what is written.
What I'm telling you is that's not the Debt Management Office writing that report. You see, that is taking some figures from the Debt Management Office and putting it in a report that is independently written. So what you and I need to do as journalists is to go and verify the figures that they are using. That's the number one job. Okay. To verify the figures that they are using from Debt Management Office. That's number one. Number two is to now ensure that those figures are even being well used. I don't doubt that it's an open thing that we are owing crazily. The debt profile of Nigeria is really high, both inside and outside, domestic debt and the other ones. That's very sure. But I don't want to be led by the nose when we begin to talk about figures like this, that, something is surpassing something. I also want to ask and verify if it's the first time, such things are happening indeed. Because these days, you find a lot of strange reports in the papers. And you need to be on sure ground. I'd like to be on sure grounds at all times.
So it shouldn't be of any concern at the moment.
It should be of concern. It's always been of concern. You see, what concerns me about our debt profile is not even because we are owing that much. It doesn't worry me that we are owing that much, because if you go and look at what other countries in this life, they are owing, it's like a sprinkling what we are owing compared with the resources that we have. But my problem is when we go and take these loans, we largely eat them up. It ends up in the pockets of, public office holders mostly. It melts away into corruption. That is, where the problem is. If we take loans and we use the loans the way we should use the loans, it will be a different ball game. But we don't. That's a fact that we do not use these loans. Even the regular revenue, you have opacity all over the place. Things are hidden everywhere, in dark places. If you're talking about the revenue in this country, it's even a laugh because I know that, figures being bandied about, they are not accurate. The figures are not accurate. When you give me $100 million as Nigerian revenue, we are probably earning about 500 million. These are the things that we need to tackle in order to get out of the hellhole we are in. But we can't unless we take bold policy steps like restructuring the system.
Okay.
You cannot put a whole chicken in your mouth and eat it.
All right. Talking about restructuring, we'll go to the local government autonomy issue because there is a news on it now saying that federal government urged dragging states to court, and also the legal battle against the states for autonomy is needless and unfortunate. That is coming from someone who is the person we're going to discuss that when we're back from this break. We'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Gẹ́gẹ́ bí aláboyún, ó ṣe pàtàkì kí n tọ́jú ara mi kí n sì wà ní ìlera pípé.
Kí ìwọ àtoyún inú ẹ lè wà nílera tó péye. Máa lo oògùn ẹ̀jẹ̀ tó ní áyọ̀nù nínú àti folic acid lójoojúmọ́ lákòókò tó bá lóyún. Eléyìí ń dènà àìtó ẹ̀jẹ̀ nínú oyún, yóò sì jẹ́ kóyún wà lálàáfíà. Fún ìlera pípé, ẹ máa yọjú sí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ elétò ìlera yín fún ìtọ́jú oyún nígbà tó yẹ. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkọ́ṣeṣẹ́ ANRIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
No matter waiting, I show you, you show me love.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You show me, you show me, you show me love.
Show some more love today with 4 more packs of your favorite Indomie noodles in Indomitable and Super Pack cartons. Also, each Indomitable pack is now 200 naira, while Super Pack is now 350 naira. So hurry now. Offer valid till stock lasts.
I am pregnant. It is important for me to take care of myself and stay healthy.
To be strong and have a healthy pregnancy, take iron and folic acid tablets every day when you're pregnant. This prevents anemia and helps maintain a healthy pregnancy. Visit your healthcare provider for regular antenatal care. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, we're back, and this is still the dailies. In case you're just joining us, do not forget that you can also join our Facebook Live at Agidigbo 887 to watch us as you are also listening. And Maestro, if I may ask, what type of system of government are we practicing in Nigeria?
Isn't it obvious? We're doing presidential system of government. That's what it's called.
Okay.
And so you have the president, you have the legislature, and you have the judiciary. We're practicing presidential system of government.
All right. What happens to the federal system of government?
What's the federal system of government?
Okay. That's because that is where I'm going to. We have a former presidential spokesperson saying that talking about local government autonomy should be a no-go area at all, because we are in a federal system of government. And there are only 2 component units in the federal system of government, which is the federal and the state.
What's he talking about? Who's that person?
This is a former Director General of Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, Dr. Doni Okupe.
Look, let's just get serious about our discussion. He's talking about to start with, there's nothing like federal system of government. I've never seen that in any political science class that I've attended. So we're practicing the presidential system of government, which we copied, to my eternal regret, from the United States. And in the United States, you have the federal government, you have the states, and then you have the counties there functioning freely inside the counties. They have their police system, they call them sheriff. You know, they have their town mayors and everything. There is a system of government at that level. Whether it is something that's written or not, that's another matter entirely. We can have the debate all night. But then, you see, the problem with these people is when they are in these offices, they are very comfortable. Life is rosy. He's been in government before. And then he also knows, because the man is highly educated, he's a medical doctor. He also knows that that's what is written in the Constitution. So what is he talking about? If the Constitution says this is the amount you give to the federal government, this is the amount you give to the state government, and this is the amount, the percentage you give to the local government, where is that? Why are we having a debate?
He said the local governments are principally and completely issues of the state. It absolutely has nothing to do with the federal government.
He's just saying, you know, he's expressing a position that is not existing. He's saying that position should exist. Just as we are saying the Constitution should be honored. We shouldn't be having a fight. This is what, and that's why I think the federal government went to the court to say, okay, help us to interpret this Constitution and how we are supposed to go about it. So if the Constitution today says, why did the Constitution give local governments a percentage from the federation account?
It's supposed to be managed by the state.
Suppose is what he's saying. What is the Constitution? What's the law? The law today is give this percentage to the local government. Hold elections in these local governments. Let them have a chairman and so on and so forth. I mean, where did the Constitution say the states should be managing the funds of local governments?
According to him, that part should be expunged from the Constitution.
But it is not expunged today. So whatever he's saying is not what we are even saying. Nobody is, you know, interested in his utopia after he enjoyed office. What we are saying now is, this is what the Constitution says. Why are we being unlawful? Why are we being lawless? Why are we not doing what the Constitution says today? And he knows why. And he knows why he's defending that position. Today, you see, the truth is, we have corruption all over the place. And my advocacy is, you know, and as mischievous as this might, or cynical, then let's spread that corruption to local government too. Now let them have their own money too and do whatever they want with it. Why should the states be corrupt on behalf of the local governments? Let them have their money. Let local governments come alive. And then somebody is saying they should not be, they should not. We are not talking about should. We are talking about what is. And what the governors are currently defining.
All right, talking about people who used to be in government but are not any longer, and then the things they say. We have the former chairman of the Special Investigation Panel for the Recovery of Public Property, Okoye Obono Obla, who has made allegations that $69 billion looted by corrupt Nigerians was returned to the looters under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. I mean, we got this from them. They looted this, about $69 billion. But then it was returned. The sum of $69 billion looted was returned back to them under President Muhammadu Buhari's administration.
So what kind of country, you know, is it possible for you to loot $69 billion? Not 69 billion naira. $69 billion. Just take it away. And then we return to say we're hungry. We can't pay debt. Or when we pay debt, we can't afford to pay salaries. And, you know, a whole lot of other stuff like that. But you see, this is not, I'm coming to Obono Obla, but this is not the first time you're hearing mind-boggling figures. And I think this administration, the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, should get serious about some of these things. Because everybody now knows that, you know, the Buhari administration was not about fighting corruption. It was just asleep. when it came to fighting corruption.
Compared to what people think they were going to do.
Went to sleep. And you see, we talk like this, and we talked like this before his election, when everybody was jumping around saying, as soon as he's there, life was going to just turn around and everything. Because we knew from his history that it wasn't going to turn out like that. But, they got their. But you see, the point is, it's not the first time I'm hearing this kind of figures in this country. 69 billion. This is coming from Obono Obla. He also talked about brand new Mercedes-Benz, I think about 80-something.
Yes, about 80.
So, and brand new. And they went, took it, and it was returned to the people.
We asked to return
and he mentioned the name Malami. And so this administration, it will be interesting to see at the end of the day what they are going to do about the office of the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice. What would they do about it? Would they even bother to find out what really went down in that place? You see, when Ibe Kachiku was Minister of State for Petroleum, he also tendered some, very heavy figures. $5 billion, $25 billion. He mentioned those figures. There was this guy who was in the House of Representatives, who also stood up in the House of Representatives and dared everybody that there were trillions and trillions of naira inside, the commercial bank setting that the federal government should bring out. Nobody answered this man. And I thought these are places where an administration who is in dire need of funds should go and start investigating so that you can get something, out of the place. I mean, how much is this Emefiele thing that we are talking about? A few $1 million. We're talking about billions of dollars here. And where you will know that things are really going down in this country is that you see some people buying 2 jets at a time. And you're wondering, these are kids. When you see them, you wonder where they're getting this kind of money from. Unfortunately for, our small boys here who are doing their 2-bit Yahoo, they're killing people and doing all those things, thinking that there's anything. We're talking about billion, and after they do all that, they will go and buy one silly big for nothing, and then they'll think they've arrived. Or one God-forsaken Mercedes after taking a human life. But we're talking about people, boys their age, who will be buying 2 jets at a time. There was this wedding anniversary. This big guy whose 2 daughters were getting married a couple of years ago in Borno there. And the entire, there was no space to park private jets anymore.
Same Borno.
Yes, and they had to now be saying, please look for other places or come by, vehicle and so on and so forth. In this country, you go and look at, is it the president's daughter getting married or son? And you look at what comes out of that place. So where this thing is going down is very obvious to everybody. And an administration, that falls into this kind of time knows where to go and look for money.
I mean, quite a lot of names came out.
Knows where to go and look for money. Step on toes. But if you can't, I think you have to take the flags from all those who are throwing it at you.
In the podcast where he said the things he said, Obono Obla,
yes,
he mentioned quite a lot of names.
He mentioned names.
We have Abba Kyari.
Yes.
He also at some point mentioned the vice president then.
Well, you see, a lot of things go on in this country.
Wow.
And I'm not saying Obono Obla is telling the truth.
Okay.
I'm also not saying he's lying.
All right.
What I am saying is, let's go and find out.
Okay.
All these things that he's saying. You see, and they're easy to find out. He said, look, this chaps approached him from an American, system and said, look, there's $69 billion here that we know should not be here because it comes from proceeds of illegal crude oil business. So just give us this much, and then we will work on this for you. And he took the report, according to him, to the hierarchy, and it was snuffed. And I knew when Obono Obla's travails began, when his troubles began.
And what's that?
And the story they wove around him didn't just gel. You know, at some point they said he didn't, you know, he falsified his papers, his certificates, and so on. And then he was enmeshed. You know, he was stewed in that juice. And he never survived it. They found a way of getting rid of him. And they even rough-handled him a little bit. So it didn't look quite right. But then I think his own politics was also wrong. And you see, what do you project when you find yourself in that kind of office and you want to do this kind of stuff? To start with, why? Altruism, uprightness, integrity. Because you cannot build something on nothing.
I mean, he said he thought of working with.
Where is he coming from as a person? Where is he coming from? You see, most of the time, these people don't put people in those offices who don't behave like them, who don't look like them, who don't function like them. They will not put you in those offices. So you have to have your own certificate of corruption. If you are not certified, you will not, you know, be put in such offices. Okay. So I think, you know, this is my hunch, that something happened. That, you know, he brought in his wife. He said, you know, Mr. Malami saw his wife and said, you know, has your husband, you know, sarcastically. So you know that there's probably some clash of egos, where I want to be, where I should be, and so on. I don't believe, because you have to have a track record of undertaking such ventures.
No, I mean, according to him, he said, okay, I am working with Buhari, and the Buhari we know, or the Buhari that we think we know, is going to do these things. So if he's calling me to come and do these things, okay, this is Buhari, I think I can work for him.
I don't know if I trust what he's saying. You see, I think something happened that turned him into an emergency activist, because they don't put people like that in such offices.
But he said after they started probing him, they didn't see anything.
Well, he's the one who is saying they didn't see anything. He has never been able to prove that his certificates were genuine, because that's one thing they threw. They know how to quickly throw that at you. They did it to Kemi Adeosun. You know, the woman was functioning, you know, brilliant and everything. And look at, and she was in the way. She was in the way. And so they went and brought out the NYSC, you know, thing and started the saga and ensured that they got rid of her. And it was after they got rid of her that all these things started, you know, rolling. Okay,
whether Obono was included in all of this corruption of a thing or not, I mean, we still cannot just put aside all what he said.
Have we put it aside? Haven't I been telling you figures?
I mean,
haven't I been telling you a lot of things? I've told you a lot of things. I've told you have to come with your certificate. You see, you cannot be fixated on whether you look at it or you don't look at it. The problem is, and this is not even a new thing. You know, you might think it is new, but it's not new. It started during the Buhari administration. I just told you how he was kicked out. I'm not saying it's right there they kicked him out. But if you were bedfellows yesterday, I'm simply going to pick the information I need from you. I'm not going to begin to sensitize you because now, after everything, you have come out to say a few things.
After you guys are separated.
I don't know, because that way you'll be mixing up a lot of people who should actually be applauded and people who, for one reason or the other, decided to spill the bean.
All right.
If you now choose to piss in the pot, I want to know why first. Because I'm telling you the truth. You cannot rise in these circles. A lot of people over the years will have asked you, would you like to contest? You should be in this, you should be in that. I'm not going to do it. I will not go into this political system right now because I'll simply not, it doesn't work for me.
All right, let us open the phone lines now so that people can call in to join in the conversation. The phone lines to call we already know then, but if you are a first time listener, 070410018887 or +2347047008873. But then, before we start taking calls and also reading comments, let's listen to this.
Thank you for your attention. It's been lovely to have you keeping it locked on Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Now is the time to join in the conversation, to have the word, hear your voice, because we are the people's voice. Meanwhile, while you contribute to this program, kindly note that in accordance with broadcasting ethics, you are requested to keep your contributions modest, truthful, concise, and not offensive, inflammatory, or with tendencies to cause discomfort to anyone. Thank you. Now, let the conversation begin.
All right. Hello. Good morning.
Morning, Agidigbo. This is Alhaji Ibrahim Show. You're calling from Airport Ibadan.
All right. So your contribution.
Thank you, ma. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. You see, I always wonder. May God continue to bless your knowledge, sir. I always wonder what is going on in this country. We are keeping ourselves as one, but the problem from the northern Green and Red Chambers, the members of Green and Red Chambers, is they always want to carry, because of their number, the weight they have, they always want to draw us backwards. Sorry to say, because look at this issue of state policing. Because they have that number, and you know that is why they are twisting and turning the good hand of Mr. President. So how do we do this? I want to remember, brothers and sisters. I think we should think outside the box and see what we can do. May God help us.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. 070410018887 or +2347047008873. Hello, good morning. All right, we lost our call. Please do well to call back if you can. We have a comment, quite a lot of comments on Facebook. One from Rashida Anelka says, Kashim Shettima was the governor of Borno while the students of Chibok were abducted. We knew how he went on loggerheads with the then president. He, Shettima, played politics with people's lives 9 years ago. And 9 years later, he's our vice president. Okay, we have another one from Idris Adisa saying, let us face it, leave all days blaming the obvious. Why would northern states suffering from something and at the same time rejecting the solution? They are really cashing out from this violent situation for every massacre up. Okay. Hello, good morning. You're already making assertions. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Say your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Dayo Asco.
All right, sir, your contribution.
Yeah, thank you. I agree to the analyst in the house, Mr. Maestro. What I just want to say is that, regards to what Ogla just said, I think we should just give it a thought instead of saying maybe it's one of them. At least it has revealed a lot of things about the happenings in the country. So I just pray God help us as well. So,
right.
Thank you.
No,
yeah.
That's the first thing we
so much
said, that this administration should go after all those figures and investigate it. We said that already.
And let's see what we can see from there. Femi Ranki says, anything that will make life of citizens better, our politicians will turn a deaf ear and a blind eye. They will play the ostrich. Our senators and reps have the simplest job in the world, but they make it the most difficult by not doing the right thing. The states, police, and local government autonomy is a very good way to make Nigeria start growing again. Rashid Aneka says, if the family of any sitting governor happens to be the victim of this terrorism going on, perhaps it will give them some rethink on their selfish interest about this whole thing. And still, Femi Ranki says, why is it that it is only when disaster or tragedy hits home that politicians are raised to take action? The Borno governor, if terrorism hits directly in his camp, he would reconsider.
Unfortunately, it hit directly.
It did.
There were a couple of times that his convoy was hit by terrorists. A couple of times, and he still simply insists. But you see, because he wasn't hit because we would travel in armored vehicles and so on, and have a lot of soldiers and policemen surrounding him and so on. But that's not the life of millions of his people.
All right. It continues to say, consider state police from the angle of Amotekun. The relative peace we enjoy in most parts of the southwest. State police will be a 3 times upgrade. Good morning. Kazi Molawale says the security problem and the state of economy is pathetic. We can only pray that God rescue and deliver Nigerians because we have again fell into the hands of people who have nothing to offer. All right, 0704 1001 887 0704 1001 887 or plus 234 704 7008 873. Alexander Oyetunde Ladimeji says Nigeria is not ripe for state police. Maestro, what do you have to say to that?
Well, people have to express their positions, but I would love to know that. I don't believe it's complimentary when you say you are not ripe for anything as a human being. I think you belittle, you slight yourself, your essence as a human being. Apart from that, there is a mountain of reasons that we have given for state police. So if anybody says, oh, you are not ripe, you are not ripe. You are not talking about me. You might not be ripe for anything, but I am ripe for everything that is justified and will solve my problem. It's as simple as that.
All right, let us pick this call and then go to the story of refineries and then the assurance we are getting on them. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Your name or where you're calling from?
I'm calling from the road.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. All right. Your name?
My name is Mr. Flower.
All right. Your contribution, sir.
Please, I need your help.
All right. Please come straight down to the station for any form of help you may need. They would answer you once you get to the gate.
You also mentioned something about the League of Imams today.
Yes. You want us to go down to that story?
It's important.
The Shawun of Ogbomoso and also the Imam of Ogbomoso. They said Shawun has always appointed Ogbomoso chief imam since 1818. So it is no new thing for you to think you can have the chief imam's hands tied. So I think the problem was he went to Hajj. The chief imam went to Hajj without informing the Shawun of Ogbomoso, and that is where the issue came from. And then he said, I'm not supposed to take permission from you before I do that.
It's not a religion thing. It's not something about religion. It has nothing to do with religion. It's all to do about their offices.
Okay.
I know that a lot of people want to make it look like it's a religion warfare. And you have people who quickly want to put that front out there because then they become a champion. And a lot of people would recognize them as such, and then we have a lot of problems. This is not about religion. One, I think the KBC shouldn't have, issued a query. And why I'm saying that is not because he's not in a position to issue that query from office to office. It's not about faith. It's not about, don't talk about whether I go or not. No, the KBC will not go into somebody else's house to go and say, you're an Ogbomoso indigene. Why did you go to Mecca without telling me? He won't do that. He would only do that about certain people who are very few. And so why I'm saying he shouldn't have done it, in my opinion, is he is still saying, look, you are not recognized until you go and finish whatever you have with your people in your household, right? I think that's what's going on.
Yes.
So you cannot recognize and de-recognize at the same time. You cannot say your office is in question, but you cannot issue a query to an office that is in question by you. I think it's a contradiction. I'm just expressing my own. I think that is a contradiction. Under normal circumstances, he should have been able to ask, the office of the imam, because he's involved. why would you go without telling me? And the imam probably wouldn't have gone without telling him under normal circumstances. But the circumstances are not normal. You see, so on the one hand, I think that query should have been reserved. On the other hand, I think there is too much push to make it look like a religious war, on the other hand, which it is not, because it's something that exists inside a family, and inside that family, some people are saying yes, some people are saying no. And that's what I think is going on there. So it has nothing at all to do with the issues of faith or religion.
All right. Idris Adisa says, my last part on the comment is on Amotekun. They need to help our farmers, especially when they are needed most for food security and control of food inflation.
There are also few.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from, sir?
Yeah, this is Ami Dombo from Apaka.
All right, your contribution.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Yeah,
morning.
Good morning. Well, yeah, this is Ami Dombo. Yeah, regarding Ogumosho, Shifima, high school in Ogumosho, I understand that there must be a synergy between Shifima and Ogumosho. And it's possible that there's nothing like maybe good synergy among them. Maybe they have bad blood, I don't know. But they should settle it, whatever that is going on. Let them settle it. Even Mr. Governor can interfere as well regarding that. They are talking about suicide bombing in Borno. Maestro, I want to ask you, you could remember during Buhari's tenure, they tell us that, okay, they know people that are sponsoring Boko Haram. I don't know whether present government also know people behind it. Why can't they just, look for those people and get them arrested? Because you could remember this thing happened during, Goodluck Jonathan tenure, and we begin to see all this suicide bombing all over there. Yeah.
All right. Let me quickly respond to. Let me very quickly respond to the things you. Number one, you see, it's very, very complicated that the governor should step in, because some people want to make it look like a religious war. The governor is a Christian. The KBC is a Christian.
It's easy to link.
So it then begins to look like. So I think the intelligent thing is to ensure that peace reigns and just let it work out, peacefully, so that there will be peace in that place.
Yeah.
The thing about this current administration has actually published names of people, and we saw those names. What they are now doing about them, I don't know, but I think some people were arrested concerning aiding terrorism through finances and so on. So we have that bit going on. How it pans out is what we wait for.
All right, let's go on this break. That is our last. We'll be coming back to our final lap for the show this morning. And when we're back, we'll round off on the issues we've discussed since. We'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Bẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ o ẹ lọ borí omi. Bẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ o ẹ lọ borí omi o, ìfọkànbalẹ̀ lẹ̀ ó rà o. Lórí ilé abilẹ̀ tẹ́ bá ra lọ́dọ̀ wa o. Bẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ lọ borí omi. Àwọn èsè màgòmágó. Bẹ̀bẹ̀ o ẹ lọ borí omi. Ní bẹ̀bẹ̀ o ẹ lọ borí omi o, kòkó ń tẹ yìí ní ìtẹ̀bẹ̀ta o. Ilé ni mọ́tò ní àbílẹ̀ lẹ́sìn ni o. Bẹ̀bẹ̀ talẹ̀ ẹ lọ borí omi. Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Láti dènà àrùn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru àti àrùn mìíràn, pàápàá nínú àwọn ọmọdé, fọ ọwọ́ rẹ pẹ̀lú ọṣẹ àtomi tó ń dà ṣooro. Ní pàtàkì jùlọ, tó o bá lo ilé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ tán lẹ́yìn tó bá ti ṣàǹdí fọ́mọ tán, kó o tó ṣoúnjẹ ọmọ rẹ tàbí kó o tó fún un lóúnjẹ. Àti pé tí ọmọ rẹ bá ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru, fún un ní oògùn oníwóró zinc lẹ́ẹ̀kan lójúmọ́ àti ORS ní wákàtí mẹ́rin tàbí kí ẹ máa fún díẹ̀díẹ̀ nínú ife. èyí á jẹ́ kọ́mọ rẹ lè ní ìdápadà omi ara àtokun. Bákan náà, yọjú sílé iṣẹ́ ètò ìlera tó bá súnmọ́ ọ jùlọ láti gba ìtọ́jú fọ́mọ tó ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru.
Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe iṣẹ́ ARIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Ó yá gbà ọmọ mi ọ̀wọ́n.
Màámi, ẹ fi mílíkì sí ni.
Kò di dandan, ìwọ tó wò ná.
Báwo lẹ ṣe ṣe?
Ǹjẹ́ mílíkì inú ẹ̀ péye?
Ní gidi gan.
Ṣé ọ̀rá wàrà inú ẹ̀ ṣàn tó?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy nìyẹn o. Mílíkì inú ẹ̀ péye, mi ò nílò láti ṣàfikún mílíkì sí i.
Mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ rẹ̀ màámi.
Fún àwọn ọmọ rẹ ní Milo 3-in-1 milky àti creamy tuntun, mílíkì inú ẹ̀ péye, ó kún fún káṣíọ̀mù láti ran àwọn ọmọ rẹ lọ́wọ́ láti yege lójoojúmọ́. Milo, agbára láti tẹ̀síwájú.
Milo. Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, we're back. Going on comments again, Adewumi Shegun says, nothing good on having state police, but laws should be made to limit the power from governor to be controlling them to their own advantage. Rashida Nelka says, the numerics in North is all ruse by politicians. 18 years ago, census was a travesty. All right, Engineer Day Niyu says, when corruption is not tackled headlong, because all the problems we have battling with in this country revolve around it. It is normal to take loans for development, but when the loans are not used for the intended purposes, it becomes an issue which call for concern. Corrupt-minded leaders cannot bring a change we are yearning for. All right, Maestro. The downstream committee of the Senate has disclosed that refineries in the country will commence operations before the year runs out, before January next year. When was the time we were given before?
No, it's just ridiculous that they are barefacedly coming up to say before the end of the year. We were told last December. It didn't happen last December. In any case, they are not even in a position to be talking to us about how these things and when these things will come up.
Why not?
It should be the executive arm of government who came out, bared their chest and told us, in clear terms, it was going to happen by last December. And it didn't happen in December. They said, oh, it's almost ready. They gave us another date in this year. And it's not ready yet. So I think it's a shame that not because they've not been able to fulfill their promise. That's not why it's a shame. It's a shame because they've not come out in the place where they told us that it was going to happen to tell us that, okay, we are sorry. Due to these hiccups, we're not able to do it now. They simply kept quiet. And that's a huge shame.
A huge shame. Also, they are also the NNPC. They have also launched an investigation into a viral video showing a few pump attendants demanding customers purchase lubricants before petrol. I mean, is that something? Is it new?
If they really want that, it's all over the place. Anytime they come with their troubles, people are collecting money in places before they even sell you petrol.
Exactly. All right then, Maestro, your parting shot for this morning.
Well, every time I like to, these days, as a matter of policy, address my mind, my resources, to very young people with open minds. I'm really tired about all these, VDM kind of people all over the place.
I mean, there was a report that he was arrested. He has been arrested.
Yeah, he's been released. He's been released again because it's a very spurious arrest. You cannot be detaining people over defamation. That it's ridiculous. It's not something. You can't be behaving as if it's sedition, which has been, kicked out of our legal system. So I approach these days very young people, perhaps in secondary schools, if they happen to be listening, to be focused at all times and be contextual. Develop your vocabulary, develop your debating skills. These things are very important going forward because it's a very heavy future.
All right then. Thank you so much for that word of advice and also for joining us again this morning for doing this with me. My name is Wuraola Yusuff, and tomorrow we'll get to meet again to discuss about nothing than that of our great nation. Please do not forget that cholera is still out there. Ensure that your foods are properly cooked and be wary of the things you eat and the things you drink. Nigeria shall be great again. You are part of that. You will be part of that to make Nigeria great again.